Everyone, I'm back today with Nadav Trent Moser from Prediction News. Um, we're going to be talking about prediction markets, prediction news. They're coming down to the summit and doing a bunch of stuff. A lot of you guys know Morgan Busby. Morgan's a big investor in their business, and he's actually going to be doing some stuff with you guys down there too. So, Nadav, good to talk to you. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here, John.
So, for FinPub, we're all talking about, investing and trading, right? And so we know that prediction markets have exploded, come on the scene really strong. And we know there's a lot of overlap with our customers, but kind of from your perspective, or let's just do a quick overview of prediction markets for anyone who doesn't kind of have a good grasp on it. How would you describe prediction markets and kind of where that industry is right now?
Yeah, so predictions markets are basically a way to trade on the outcome of future events. Right? It could be the president election, the 2028 presidential election. It was who will be the next pope. It can be the weather in New York. It could be when will the new album of X artist come out. So it could be pretty much anything you see on the news. People can trade on. Um, Typically yes or no outcomes. And yeah, if they win, um, it's basically if they win, they get $1 for every piece or for every share they buy, and if they lose, they get zero. The nice thing about prediction markets too is that probability is basically what you pay for that share. So if there's a 60% chance of JD Vance, for example, being the Republican nominee in 2028, you pay 60 cents per that share and you can buy as many shares as you want. If he wins, you get $1 for every 60 cents. If he loses, you go down to zero. So that's pretty much how that works.
Yeah, wasn't it like something like $1 billion bet or traded around the last presidential election?
Yeah, so 2024 was really when all of the prediction markets really boomed. I think it was a total of about 4.5 billion across multiple platforms, including Kalshi, Polymarket. Robinhood came out at the last minute offering prediction markets too. So yeah, it was pretty staggering.
Yeah, 4.5 billion. That's crazy. Just um and those are kind of the major platforms you just named, right? So
Yeah, so a lot has changed since then. Then Kalshi was actually the only um, legal platform in the U.S. Polymarket was only allowed for foreigners, so it was blocked in the U.S. For regulation purposes. There were a few kind of smaller platforms. Robinhood offered prediction markets, but that was based on the Kalshi backend. But since then, and even in the past month, a lot has happened. Fanatics have just launched their own prediction markets platform. Pretty much all or most of the sports betting kind of guys coming into prediction markets, DraftKings, FanDuel, as I mentioned, Fanatics, Crypto.com is
mhm.
in there. And most of these guys are either offering direct to retail or retail and kind of to act as a backend um, to other brands. So for example, Crypto.com is launching a partnership with Hollywood.com to offer entertainment-based prediction markets. So we're seeing that quite a bit, and this industry is really kind of moving so fast. A lot changes in a matter of days and weeks. So until we'll meet everyone in Orlando, probably have more to talk about.
Yeah, because it has been like, I mean, there's been like Kalshi had a big legal battle with the CFTC and they won. And so like these things are like there's a regulatory environment and that's evolving, but it seems like a pretty positive trend all across the board in that we've seen in, the rise of the retail investor was a big trend that we've been talking about that actually since about 2015. But with like prediction markets, I think this is one of those things where it's like the explosion of this area shows like kind of the appetite that's just out there for it's essentially trading things that are super understandable for people on their day-to-day lives, like the presidential election, or it's like it's sports betting, but a little bit more securitized
Yeah,
for
a hundred
yeah.
a hundred percent. I mean, so prediction markets in general are regulated under the CFTC, so they're federally regulated. Um, Obviously, very early days. So we're going to see this. This is emerging as kind of a pretty significant asset class that is going to move into becoming a financial market as more regulation goes in, as more oversight goes in. Um, so yeah, this is definitely kind of very early days. If you see, it's very similar to kind of crypto in the early days,
Hmm.
where it kind of took time for people to understand what it's about, and it took time for regulators to regulate, and it took time for people to feel comfortable with this. Prediction markets are probably moving faster,
Hmm.
um, and they have quite a bit of potential. I don't know if you saw the numbers, but just in the last week, there's been around 2 billion in trading volume across platforms. Kalshi being the leader there,
Yeah.
but Polymarket and some others. So those are pretty crazy numbers. And we definitely see this as a $1 trillion market in 5 years,
Mhm.
maybe even more. So there's pretty significant movement in the space.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's such a it seems perfectly for me it seems perfectly built for retail because it is like just whatever you want it to be almost. Like you can bet on just about anything or trade anything. Um
A
and
100%. I mean, I like saying everyone knows something, right? If you either know your politics, or you know your entertainment, or you know your sports, or you know your economics. There's something for everyone, which is what's really nice about it.
yeah, and we saw this in like the during the pandemic we saw that when sports betting stopped because all the sports stopped, um the huge overlap really like fueled a boom in the trading and investing in FinPub. And so we had this huge spike up that really showed that. And I know the president of DraftKings has talked about how like there's a huge overlap with traders with his markets. And I think that this is a similar thing that you obviously have traders, but also just there's a mentality that goes with trading that, Brett Holmes, who's spoken on here a bunch of times and comes to FMS and speaks, has always said that like sports betting is the closest equivalent to what trading is for the mentality of the customer. Like people love to just like get action and have things and like they're invested in by putting money on the lines, they're way more invested in the outcome. And so there's an excitement factor to it. And this is exactly the same thing, just more broad than sports betting.
100%. I mean, there are huge overlap with sports betting, with investing or trading, regular stock trading, crypto. But this can resonate with a much wider audience. I mean, think about the number of women that trade crypto or that trade stocks, and here there are kind of markets that might resonate a little more. Think about men that aren't interested in crypto or crypto. Crypto can be intimidating with the wallets and understanding what goes up, what goes down. This anyone can find something that resonates with them in this space. And these platforms, Polymarket and Kalshi, have made it extremely easy for people to kind of understand what's going on. You can top up your account with Apple using Apple Pay, so no need to kind of use VPNs or other crypto wallets or things like
Hmm.
that. Top up with Apple Pay, place your trade, if it goes well, you earn money. If it doesn't, you lose it. Another beautiful thing about prediction markets, by the way, is you don't actually need to wait for the event to occur. You can actually withdraw the funds prior to the event, depending on if you want to if you want to double down. You could put more money in uh, during the event, or you can hedge your losses by withdrawing early. So that's another kind of nice thing about this.
Nice, interesting. And then so like from the way that like I see this kind of fitting in with kind of the existing FinPub industry, which I think itself is evolving to the point that like there's FinPub niches and then there's parts of the industry that I don't even know if I'd call it FinPub anymore. Um, I do see like by sharing like a huge pool of customers, then the opportunities then start to be between this market and ours in FinPub is like affiliate opportunities, cross promotion, lead gen, advertising opportunities. things like that that seem like whenever we're talking about like a shared customer, that there's some obvious things and opportunities that seem to suggest itself to everybody. And let alone then there's the product side of like, hey, maybe you're starting to include predictions kind of stuff in your content. Do you see it kind of the same way?
Yeah, 100%. Maybe this is a good time to kind of talk a little about what we're doing and how this connects to kind of the FinPub ecosystem. So I think we're essentially building this ecosystem for prediction markets. If we think about any large category, it has this whole ecosystem behind it of news publishers writing about it, tools created for it, SaaS platforms created for it. You see it in sports betting, you see it in investing, you see it in crypto. We took upon ourselves to build this ecosystem around prediction markets as we see the potential and we see the needs for tools and just general education and added value for the category in order to get it to be mainstream.
Hmm.
Anyone who knows prediction markets is kind of very invested in this, but we acknowledge the fact that 99% of people don't actually know about prediction yet. So this is a very niche kind of market at this point. So we generally have kind of three main business activities. One is predictionnews.com, where we cover industry news about the space. So regulation in the space, new platforms coming out, CEO interviews, things like that, as well as retail content. So it could be how to trade the election markets, how to trade the Rotten Tomato markets. Yes, there are Rotten Tomato markets. How to trade the weather markets, and things like that. So kind of just helping to educate um, the general audience, the general population. The second activity is we're actually the largest user acquisition player in the space. So we're able to drive tens of thousands of new traders to these platforms, to Kalshi and to others. And obviously, these are very early days where all platforms need their traders. So we've become pretty good at doing that. And the third activity is we're kind of building this technology to be able to power these different platforms. Um, you can think about it as the coin market cap of prediction markets. So kind of one place that shows all platforms in aggregate. We have our own indices, trending platforms, trending markets, ending soon markets, things like that. That's probably going to launch early next year. So those are the three main activities we have, and where I think this connects to your ecosystem is joining forces. So we see obviously early days, we see a direct correlation between prediction markets and financial markets, right? So anyone writing about a financial market, you can actually trade on how many car deliveries Tesla is going to have this quarter, for example. You can trade on what the Fed rate change is, it going to change, how much it's going to change, and things like that, which obviously directly correlate with others, with stock and with general economic indicators. But generally, you could just add more flavor and add more. I see this as another data set to pretty much anything you're looking at or thinking about. And there are of course crypto markets where you can trade on what would be the price of Bitcoin at 3 p.m. Eastern today, and then on 5 p.m. at 5 p.m. Eastern today. There's a plethora of kind of markets that that would probably make sense for
Hmm.
some of the partners in the ecosystem.
Yeah, that seems really interesting. Like the different ways, like there's a lot of different business models in our world here, and so it does seem like there's a lot of overlap for some folks and people who are interested in this, people who are interested in exploring more about figuring out more ways. Because I think, like you said, it's there's gonna be a process of figuring out where are the opportunities, you know, that are most enticing for different groups. Um, which is why it's always good to get together and just kind of talk these things through and say, hey, well, what about this? And we have this, and kind of brainstorm ideas on what's possible.
100%. And I mean, the fact that this is all so new is obviously a huge user acquisition, has huge user acquisition potential, right? If you go to the larger brokerages, Robinhood, some other large clients, they have 30% of the market, the addressable market, 20%, 10% of the addressable
Right.
market. Here 99% of people don't even know what that is. And so there is a huge, specifically an affiliate slash user acquisition opportunity here that I think is both enticing because
Hmm.
it's interesting to be able to trade on all of these things, but also from a content and distribution point of view, I think there's a lot you can do with this just to either create a dedicated channel focusing on prediction markets in a certain category or just adding this into what a publisher is already doing.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think that's cool. It is. It's such a. I mean, I'm just looking at Kalshi right now, and it's got like everything from what would Trump say during his roundtable meeting to sports betting to Times Person of the Year. Uh, but the idea that this is all securitized and that uh, there's also stuff that's specifically around, like you said, price predictions for assets that are traded in other ways, and yet there's still a market for it here.
Sure.
It's such an interesting place, and kind of watching where our customers are going and what they're doing to just figure out new like I said, lead gen product models. And it's cool. It's I think it's one of those things that this time in our industry is fascinating because we do have this kind of explosion of things like prediction markets. We saw some of this with like the Reg A space growing up and how much money that brought into the industry. And so yeah, it's cool. It's I'm excited to have you guys come down, and I know that Morgan is gonna be interviewing one of your what's his name? You want to tell people about who?
Damon, yeah, Damon Sayre. So that's this is actually exciting. The intersection between
Yeah.
prediction markets and politics,
Hmm.
um, which is funny because it actually brought prediction markets to the forefront in 2024. We are expecting the midterm elections in 2026 to be huge, especially
Yeah.
with all the political environment and everything happening towards 2028, which will be massive. I mean, if you think about it, when no one knew what prediction markets were in 2024 was 4.5 billion. 2028 could be 100 or even more. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no limit to how much that can be. So Damon Sarah, who's the former Kentucky state senator, will be interviewed or have a fireside chat with Morgan talking about that intersection between prediction markets and politics. And again, just for publishers, this can be its own thing, trading on politics. It could be an added piece
Hmm.
to existing content. So there are a lot of ways to kind of force, leverage prediction markets, monetize prediction markets. We've been doing this for the past year and being pretty successful. So yeah, would love to speak to
Yeah.
anyone and everyone in at the event to see what we can do together.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think that looking forward to that fireside chat because uh, that particular part of it, like you said, the political part of it, everyone is so passionate and engaged on things these days, and now it's kind of like this is a way for people to put their money where their mouth is on things, and like every other trading and prediction thing, rubbing it a little bit in the faces of the people who they were disagreeing with, that they made
100%.
money on it, which is part of it. But yeah, so you guys are going to be down there. Damon's going to be joining us. Like I said, Morgan is a big supporter and I know he's an investor in the business, um, and so I'm excited to have him. The reason I figured Morgan would be the best one to do this conversation is that he understands intimately all the different connections between the different industries or different sides of this, and so they can really talk about things in a way that I think is really productive for everybody. So I'm excited to hear that one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So cool. So like, and you're going to be down there as well. So everyone, this is Nadav. Look at his face. Like when you're down there, you want to talk prediction markets. This is the guy. We'll see him. You'll see him around there. I'm happy to connect you guys before the event, at the event. But anyone who wants to talk prediction markets, make sure to connect with Nadav while we're down there in Orlando in a few weeks.
100%. And you can find me on LinkedIn, obviously, Nadav Trent Moser or Nadav at predictionnews.com. That's Nadav. And yeah, would love to
Perfect.
speak to you guys.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for doing this, Nadav, and I'll see you pretty soon, actually, like less than a month. So
Thank you, John. This was great.
thanks.